What's up, potato chips? This is your girl, Jerry Nicole, your favorite couch potato. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome, and don't forget to subscribe. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to be a share bear and share this with your friends. But let's just jump into this review for Good Girls. This is Season 1, Episode 7, entitled Secret Sauce. So the episode begins with Beth. She's sitting at the coffee table and she is counting all her money. She is reveling in the fact that she is now a G in the game. Or so she thinks. She's a G in the game. And then Dean walks in and he's like, "Look, what's going on? Are you a drug dealer?" She didn't say anything. Then he goes, "Are you running a prostitution ring?" And she kind of laughs and she goes, "Don't you wish?" And he's insisted that he has the right to know what the hell is going on and where all this money is coming from. And again, she reminds him, "You don't have the right to know anything. Don't you remember that you was over here screwing your secretary and I was in the dark?" Now here's my whole thing. We already know that Dean is fucked up. You cannot keep throwing in his face that he cheated. You've allowed him to come back home, whether it is under the guise of the fact that he has cancer, which we all know that he doesn't, but you've invited him back into the home. You've given him some type of responsibility and allowing him to be there. Quit throwing it in his face that he fucked up. He knew he fucked up. Either forgive him and move on, or don't forgive him, but stop throwing the shit up in his face. It's getting kind of old at this point. But then she reminds him that she has a meeting tonight for her book club, and he needs to go and be out the house. So she throws him $20 to tell him take the kids to the movies or something. Then she throws him a stack, and it's like, take him to Disneyland. Hell, I don't care. Just know that you got to get out the house. Because book club has made them really, really rich. They are rolling in the money. Now back at Fresh and Frugal, Fine and Frugal, Boomer's upset because Annie ain't been to work in like 2 weeks. And y'all remember last week he put the drugs in her locker. You can't set nobody up for possession if they don't ever come to work. No, because right now she's running her secret shopper meetings. Back at the house, all the girls have come to the meeting to learn whatever it is that they're going to learn this week and get their assignments for this week. And Annie is leading the charge, and she's talking to the girls about DNR and what DNR means. And then she's yelling at Michelle to get off her phone because her phone is not that important. Nobody has posted anything new on Facebook or Twitter or social media in the last 2 minutes. So girl, please get out your phone and pay attention. And then she asked somebody what DNR means. And I believe Tyler was like, "Do not resuscitate," which that's what DNR means. So when she got mad at him, I was kind of upset because he gave you the right answer. It wasn't the correct answer for your version of DNR, but that's what DNR means, Annie. So then she asked Mary Pat what DNR means. And Mary Pat said something stupid. And Annie proceeds to lose her shit. I don't even remember what DNR stands for. I think it was like, don't ever shop at the same store. I forget what the N means, but I know the R. The R was important. The R was receipts. Because, you know, you cannot return anything anywhere without receipts. And especially after the whole debacle with Tyler losing all his shit and not having the receipts. Receipts are important. Now, after the meeting, the girls are cleaning up and they're looking at the mess that, you know, is left behind after the meeting. And Beth is like, "You know what? I'm going to stop feeding these hoes because all they do was leave a mess." And here you go Annie. She's like, "Well, let's offer them some incentives. Let's send them to Cancun." Girl, send who to Cancun? Y'all don't have no money to be sending these people to Cancun. First off, you should have never even invited them in to your whole criminal activity. Plus, Y'all got a plan to get out of this whole thing in 6 months, as Beth had to remind them. But Annie's like, look, the way we making money, we'll be way out of this before 6 months, and we'll have a whole lot of extra money. And Ruby agrees, and she's like, you know what? We rolling in the deep. We are good. Shoppers is over here shopping. We making great money. So now that, they're making all this great money, this gives everybody a chance to kind of spend a little bit on themselves or their families. So Beth decides that she's going to buy an $1,100 necklace. And she gets to the jewelry store, and the lady is like, oh, so your husband is going to buy this for you. And it was kind of funny because Beth's like, my husband can't afford this. And she just pulls out $1,100 out of her purse. And then Sadie decides that Annie decides that she's gonna buy Sadie a custom-made suit. So they go to the shop, and then snotty salesman kind of dismisses them because Sadie's a girl. And then Annie shows all this money in her purse, like, I got enough money to buy everything up in here. So now snotty salesman is becoming very sweet salesman. They get Sadie a really, really nice suit. And then Ruby and Stan are celebrating at a restaurant because Stan has made his first assist with an arrest for a small drug bust. So, like I said, really expensive restaurant, eating some raisin or grape, shall I say. Grapes become raisins. That's where that came from. That has been refracted by a laser, cryogenically frozen. Girl, they take the raisin on the plate and smoke is coming all off of it. Like, I don't even want to know how much that damn grape costs. Like, how do you split a grape between two people? Now, Stan is a little nervous that they spending so much money on a meal. And Ruby lets him know, money is like a boomerang. You got to throw it out there, and it's going to come back. Now, that statement is going to bite her in her ass a little later on. And she's telling Stan, you got to live a little, and we got to celebrate you. It's just time to be not so much worried about money because we're making great money. But remember how I said it's going to come back to bite her in her ass? Because it literally does. Because guess who else has came back? Remember the gangbanger who was laying in Beth's daughter's bed with the bullet hole? He's back, guys. And he's been arrested. And Agent Turner has him. Agent Turner is like, we got you. And dude's like, I'm not gonna snitch. I'm not gonna say nothing. He was like, that's fine. You don't have to say anything. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go ahead and take you home. But do you have a Snapchat or an Instagram? And dude is like, why? He's like, because I just posted a picture of us. Or he had just snapped a picture. He hadn't posted it yet, but he just took a selfie with himself and the gangbanger. And he goes, well, before I take you home, let's go get something to eat. And then Agent Turner says, now, once I take you home, you're going to smell like cop coffee. So then people are going to think that you've been talking to us anyway. So now our gangster is like rethinking everything. Like, shit, he done snapped this picture. If my boys see me coming home out of his car, they're going to think I'm snitching. So, of course, now he's got to play ball. Now, back at Beth's house, the girls are watching The Real Housewives of New York. And Beth is wanting to tell the girls, everything that she did. And that she spent a little bit of the money. And she wants to show them what she, spent her portion of the money on. So she goes to her bedroom to get the necklace so she can show it to the girl. She puts it on. And then she walks back into the living room. And guess who's in the living room? Our sexy gangster Rio. But at this point, Rio has got guns pointed at Ruby and at Annie. And then Ruby grabs Beth by her neck and the necklace. And he touches her necklace to his necklace. And then he asks her, how much money did set you back? And then Beth tells him, I thought we was past this. And Rio was like, me too. But you bitches keep stealing from me. And now Beth is looking like, what the hell are you talking about? This is my money. We didn't take none of your money. We did what we were supposed to do. We gave you your money. And now Rio is like, nah. Y'all put fake cash in with the real cash. Y'all done stole from me 100,000. And of course now Ruby is scared out of her mind. And before she even thinks, she says, what if it was one of the other women? They didn't wash the money. And then you can see the look on her face, like, oh shit, Rio don't know that we done added other people to the whole thing. So Rio is like, so now we outsourcing? You done invited other people into my business? You done got other people involved into my shit? Like, that's not. And Beth is like, look, they don't know what's really going on. They really think that they're secret shoppers. We just couldn't wash all that money by ourselves, so we had to bring in some other people. And Rio's like, look, who was it? I need a name. Beth is like, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to take care of everything. Don't worry about it. He's still like, no, I need a name. And they're like, it could be any of 30 women. He's like, look, if I don't get a name, I'm just going to pick one at y'all next PTA mixer. So, y'all need to figure this shit out. I told you inviting other people into this shit was not a good idea. They should have just kept it with the three of them. But of course, Beth want to be greedy, thinking that she can do more than what she really can. And now Rio done threatened to probably kill one of these chicks. Because Rio don't play nice with others. He barely play nice with them. Now after he leaves, the girls are scared. Now they're going over all the little secret shopper surveys that they gave to the women, trying to figure out who wasn't really doing the shopping, because they don't want Rio to handle it. I'd let Rio handle it personally. And then Annie reminds them, look, Rio's not gonna call HR. He gonna put a cap in somebody. So Beth comes up with a plan, as Beth always does. She goes, we will send the girls with a little bit of cash, and everybody's going to go to the same store. And then we'll figure out whoever doesn't show up is the one who put the fake cash in. So now it's time to go on a stakeout. Now, remember how Ruby said money is like a boomerang? So Stan decides that since money is like a boomerang, he's going to spend some money. Stan goes and buys tickets to a hockey game for the two of them. Now Ruby is like, why did you spend so much money? How much did this cost? So now, Ruby done changed lanes on Stan and tells Stan it's time to pump the brakes. We can't spend as much as we've been spending. Because the heat's on now. They got to come up with this 100,000 or it's going to be trouble. And Stan is confused, but he's like, okay, you know what? Whatever you say, babe, I'll take care of it. I'll sell the tickets. I'll get the money back. Now, Annie done went back to work. And as soon as she walks in, she's greeted by Boomer and the police. They've arrested her now for trafficking a Class 1 controlled substance. Now Boomer is that. And Annie knows that Boomer set her up. And she's like, I'm coming for you. Don't worry about it, you punk bitch. I'm gonna get you. This shit ain't over for you. And I mean, everybody in the store is looking. And they looking like at Boomer like, oh, nigga, you finna get it. So we get another scene where Beth goes to pick up Annie from jail. And she let Annie sit in jail overnight And she tells her, look, I didn't get your message until this morning. So as they're walking out of the jail, Annie notices that the kids are in the van. And Annie's like, you have to bring them with you. Now they get to see their auntie doing a perp walk. And Beth is like, this is your fault. You're the one that had the drugs. And Annie's like, they're not mine. And she's like, oh, so you say, as you always say, I'm always the one cleaning up your messes. I mean, Beth went in on her something fierce. And then Annie had to let her know, you know what? Boomer set me up. This was all him. Now she's crying because she knows that no judge is ever going to let her have custody with a felony on her record. Now Beth is all nice after she realizes that her sister didn't have drugs, wasn't trying to sell no drugs. She's like, oh, we'll figure this out together. Sometimes Beth gets on my nerves. I know Annie's not the smartest and she's always, you know, not thinking clearly, but to think that she would really have those drugs, especially when she's trying to get her daughter back, I need you to have a little more of a caring heart towards your sister and know that she's not that big of a screw up. I mean, she has screwed up situations, but now all of a sudden you want to care because he told you that Boomer set her up. You should know your sister well enough to know that she wouldn't do nothing that far-fetched. Now, Annie's talked to her lawyer, and in an effort to make her look a little more responsible, Annie says that the attorney has advised her to have Sadie go stay with Greg and Nan. And Sadie doesn't want to stay there. She just wants to be with her mom. But Annie got to do what's right so that she can try to, in hopes of trying to get her daughter and having custody or having joint custody, Sadie. So she has to send her over there. It was a heartbreaking scene because neither one of the girls wanted to get out the car. She didn't want to have to leave Sadie at her dad. Now let's get to this. They are in the van and they're waiting for 30 women to come up and do some shopping. So you know it's going to be a long day because not all 30 women shop at the same time. And it's like, look, I don't think this is going to work. We should just sacrifice somebody to the game. And then she nominates whoever was on the phone at the meeting. Everybody's like, no, we're not sacrificing anybody. So now they've been in the van all day, all night, and everybody has came and did their shopping. The only person who didn't show up was Miss Mary Pat. So now they know that Mary Pat is the one who put fake money in with her other money when she went to turn it in. So they decide it's time to go to Mary Pat's house. And Mary Pat is all shocked and surprised when her bosses, quote unquote bosses, show up to her house. Her house is a mess. She's got a whole bunch of little kids. And she tells them, you know, she's sorry that the house isn't together. She has to do everything by herself since her husband Jeff passed away. So now we feel sorry for Mary Pat because she's a widow. And, you know, she's had a hard time. And she's just trying to keep her head above water. So then, you know, they're talking. Mary Pat offers them some water, something to eat. And of course, here go Annie. Can I get some lemonade? Like, girl, you're not there for no damn lemonade. You're there to figure out what the hell happened with the money, okay? Stop it. And when Ruby side-eyed her, I side-eyed her too. So now we get past all the niceties. And Annie pretty much comes out and tells her, look, we know that you haven't been returning the money. We know that you're, we know what you're doing pretty much. And now Mary Pat starts to cry. Then she realizes that what Annie really says, that she's been returning the same cash. So now the gears in her head are starting to turn. She's like, well, do you guys have counters? Do you guys keep track of the serial numbers on the bills? You know, no, y'all really can't be doing that. How does HR fall on all this? Now the girls are trying to, you know, backpedal and like, no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was like, we know that you're not doing this correctly. Like, you're keeping the money for yourself and with the surveys. Now Mary Pat's like, look, y'all doing some shady ass shit. So I'm finna call the Better Business Bureau. And here goes Beth, trying to be big, bad, and scary. Go ahead, call him. Call him. And then Mary Pat's like, you know what? I'm gonna call her bluff. I'm gonna call the police. So here she goes. She calls the police on the phone. And the phone is ringing and it's ringing. And then you get the police answer. Thank you for calling wherever. How can I help you? And Mary Pat's not saying nothing. And all of a sudden, Beth is like, hang up the phone. So she hangs up the phone. She's like, what is it that you want? So now Mary Pat is like, I need a percentage of this money. Now the girls leave Mary Pat's house and they're trying to figure out who let Mary Pat in, what they're gonna do with Mary Pat, because like I said, Mary Pat wants some money. And Annie's like, you know, we could just let Rio handle the situation. And Ruby's like, well, she's a single mom. And Beth is like, well, she also, you know, has kids. We can't just let him take care of that situation. She's a widow. I just realized I said that they both said the same thing, which is not what they did. And he's like, well, she's not this great person. She's blackmailing us. And they all have to, and then Beth has to remind her, we're not the greatest people either, because it's also a crime for everything that we've done. And Ruby's like, well, what are we gonna do? Because this shit ain't working. And Beth is like, well, you know, it'd be nice to blame everything on me. And that's when they have a big ass blowout. And it's like, look, Ruby's like, we had a plan. It was supposed to be out in 6 months. But you got greedy. You wanted to do more. You wanted to invite more people in. Like I told you, this wasn't a great idea. Now all of a sudden you're luring people in like a Pied Piper. Now you're becoming this evil mastermind. And it's like, remember, we needed the money, and you were on board real quick when you saw how good the money is. And Ruby's like, you're becoming crazy. And here goes Annie. Don't call her crazy. And don't call her evil. And Ruby's like, you call her out on her shit all the time. Now I'm calling her out on her shit, and there's a problem. And then Annie goes and says, well, we're blood. Pretty much, I can call her out on her shit. You're not blood related to us. You don't have no right. So, Ruby was like, I see how it is. But remember, I held your hand through your divorce. But I'm not blood. So she decides it's time for her to bounce. And they're like, well, where are you going? And she goes, I'm going home to my husband and my kids. My blood. Y'all do whatever the fuck you want to do. But I don't want no parts in it. And then Beth proceeds to tell her, you can't just leave when shit gets rough. Well, no, fuck that. You decided to let your sister put her foot in her fucking mouth and say that, you know, Ruby's not blood. So she's like, fuck it. I'm done with y'all. Y'all do what the fuck you want to do. But I'm not dealing with y'all. Fuck y'all. Fuck this whole situation. I'm out. Because Miss Mary Pat want $10,000. And she's done with it. Now back at the house, Beth is in the shower, or in the bathroom, on the floor with the shower running in her robe, in her feelings, because she knows she fucked up. She knows her sister fucked up. And in walks Dean, and he's like, what's going on? The shower water been running forever? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be alright. He's like, well, can we turn the water off? Because the bill finna be hella high. And she's like, yes. And then he sits down and he goes, are you doing this for us? Are you doing this for the kids? That's exactly how he said it. Are you doing this for us? No, are you doing this for the kids? And she goes, yes, I'm doing it for the kids. And he goes, well, that's all I need to know. And then back at Annie's, she is doing nothing in her dirty, messy house when she gets a knock on the door. And it's Greg. And he says he came to pick up some jeans that Sadie had left over that she really wants. And then all of a sudden, they decide that they're going to have a conversation. And Annie's like, look, I don't have time for the bullshit. This wasn't on me. Here we go. And he goes, well, I know the drugs weren't you. If it was liquor, then you'd have no defense. So they sit down. She offers him some cheese and some crackers and some vodka. And they drink cheese, crackers, and vodka and look at YouTube videos. And then he's getting ready to go home. And she goes, no, please stay. They watch another video. And the next thing you know, they done had sex. And it hooked up again. I think that he really still loves her. He just couldn't deal with the crazy. So I wonder how that's going to play out with them having slept together. If that's going to cause friction with him and Nancy, who I don't even like anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Back at Ruby's, Stan sold the tickets to the hockey game on StubHub. He got a little bit of money back. And Ruby just lets him know, I know what I said, but there's ups and there's downs. And every time I look down, it looks like the sky is falling. The sky is always falling on us. So we gotta just rethink this. Now Rio does meet with Beth, and he gets his money, shall I say. He asks her again for the name, and she's like, I handled it. He was like, nah, what's the name? So she tells him that the name is Beth Boland. Like, she admits she fucked up. And then Rio looks at her and he's like, you might want to get rid of the rotten egg before it stinks up the whole bunch. And she's like, I handled it, I take care of it. And then she looks at him and she says, don't ever point a gun at me again. Like, she bossing up, which is probably not a good look because she can barely even handle the chick that's blackmailing her now. Then we get to them paying off Miss Mary Pat. But right before we get to that, we see Agent Turner, and he's addressing the Detroit police about the arrest that they made a few weeks ago that now gives him a man inside. And remember when we said Stan made his first assist? Well, Stan made his first assist in arresting the gangbanger that got shot and that was in Beth's daughter's bed. So now he's going to be a part of the task force to bring them down. So I wonder how they're going to make this work, because now Stan is seemingly in the loop without knowing that he's in the loop on how his life has really been making all this money. Now back to Mary Pat. They show up at the grocery store parking lot. She's putting in her groceries in her car. But while, she's doing all that, oh, let's backtrack. They're waiting for Mary Pat. So Ruby decides she wants to share a little story with the girls. And she goes, did I ever tell you guys about the secret sauce? So she pretty much tells them that the diner was running a special with the sandwich and it had the secret sauce. And Tony ordered a 50 5-gallon tub of this sauce. Put it down in the basement. Now the basement is hot as hell, so the oils in the sauce are separating from each other. And normally they would stir it up with a wooden spoon. But of course, the wooden spoon broke. And Tony's too damn cheap to buy another spoon. So once she said he was too cheap, I was already disgusted. She goes on to say that they had to stir it with something. And Beth's like, wasn't there a ladle you could use? It's like, nope, there was no ladle. I was the one with the longest arm. So every day, I stuck my arm in his barrel and stirred it up. Ugh. Just disgusting. I would never eat at that diner ever in life. That is so gross. But anyway, she goes to say that one day she gets the paper cut. She puts this band-aid on her finger, but she of course now has to go to work. And she has to go down to the basement and stir up the secret sauce. Forgive the face that I'm making, but every time I talk about this secret sauce, it's just disgusting. So she's elbow deep in secret sauce and she's stirring it up. When she pulls her hand out of the vat, her band-aid is gone. It's in the secret sauce. And, you know, the special has been going on for a long time, for like a year, but this one day, this guy comes and orders his sandwich. He calls Tony over. He opens up the sandwich. In the middle of his sandwich is her band-aid that came off her finger while she was stirring up the secret sauce. So that's the only reason that she came back to sit with the girls, because they didn't think that she was coming back after everything that Annie had said. But she's, look, I can't go back. I can never go back to that situation at the diner. And Beth's like, okay, well, we're not going to let you go back. So Mary Pat shows up. She's leaving the grocery store finally. The girls are helping her put all the stuff in the minivan, and Beth hands her a brown paper bag with her $10,000. And she goes, oh, so we're good now. And Mary Pat's like, yeah, we're good until next month. And Beth is looking like, the fuck, bitch? And she goes, look, I thought this was just a one-time deal. And sarcastically, Mary Pat says, yeah, and I thought I was a secret shopper. Told y'all, you don't invite people into your criminal shit, because it's always that one person that's gonna fucking find out and fuck shit up for y'all. So now you gotta figure out how the fuck y'all gonna deal with Mary Pat, because now she gonna want $10,000 a month for every month. See, Beth thought she had all that shit figured out, and she really didn't. But that's pretty much how the episode ends. Y'all tell me what y'all thought about the episode. And until next time, you guys, love, peace, and potato chip grease.